Good afternoon, grade 11s. Welcome again to our 15th lesson. We're still looking at the revision. We're preparing for informal test, right? So what we're going to look at, we're still looking at creative thinking and, Okay, so we're still looking at creative thinking and problem solving. So yesterday we went deep on creative thinking. We looked at the things that affects your creative thinking and things that are good to help us when it comes to creative thinking, right? Then we also touched a little bit on problem solving. We looked at a few things that has to do with your problem solving, basically, right? Now, grade 11s, another thing that we need to look at is the techniques of solving a problem. Techniques like your Delphi technique and your PCDA technique, right? So yesterday, that's where we finished there. Remember, we once covered this in class. This is just prepping you for your informal task. I'm hoping that the informal task has been sent to you. And I hope that you are doing it at home currently. So please, please, please make sure that everything is fine and you are sorted. Now, grade 12s, grade 11. Sorry, I kept on saying grade 12s. It's just that I just had a grade 12 class now at 3 o'clock. So that's why I kept on saying grade 12s, because I was busy with them not so long ago. Right. Now, grade 11s, let's look at the meaning of problem solving, right? So we said yesterday, it is a clear process whenever a problem is to be solved, basically, right? Sorry, I need my highlighter. Just a second. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. All right. It is a clear process to follow whenever a problem needs to be solved. Does it make sense? Also, a process of finding the correct strategy. So is to find a correct strategy, right? To respond to a problem. Problem solving involves analytical and creative skills, right? So that's where we explained yesterday that basically when we speak about your analytical and your creative skills, analytical, it's more of your data and stuff. Whereas your creative skills, it's when you have to think deep, and that's where your creative thinking comes in. All right. Then now, grade 11s, we also commented on that some businesses uses what? Uses your PDCA, processes or cycle. So this is a process or cycle, right, to solve a problem, right? So your PDCA, we know that it stands for plan, do, check, act, right? Now, if we look at this Delphi technique and phosphate analysis, basically. So, okay, we're still gonna do the PDCA. We're still going to look at the PCDA. For now, I want us to look at the Delphi technique and phosphate analysis. So basically, boys and girls, the Delphi technique, it's one of the technique that helps us to solve problems. Even the phosphate analysis, it's one of the technique that helps us to solve a problem. So your Delphi technique and phosphate analysis, we know that it is a technique that is used to solve new and complex problems. So this solves what? New and complex problems. The Delphi technique is a popular method of gathering information by using a selected experts panel on a specific topic, right? So we know that is a popular method. So we need to gather information by using a selected experts panel of specific topic, right? A group of specialists or experts panel never meet face-to-face. So they never meet face-to-face, basically, under the Delphi technique, the experts. The technique uses a series of questionnaire to obtain the feedback from experts. So they use what? They use questionnaires, uses series of questionnaires, right, to obtain feedback from experts. The questionnaires are used to bring about agreement from different views. So the questionnaires are used to bring about agreement from different views. Now, grade 11s. Let's look at the ways in which businesses can apply the Delphi technique in a workplace. How can we apply the Delphi technique in a workplace? Right. That's what we need to look at for now. Very, very important technique, boys and girls, as it will help you to understand more when it comes to your Delphi technique. And also this will also prep you for your informal task that it's written tomorrow. So please, 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 please make sure that you do understand your Delphi technique and all the other techniques that we're going to cover today. Now, boys and girls, let's look at the ways in which business can apply this technique. We know for the fact that under this technique, basically, businesses must invite a panel of experts to research the complaint from customers. That's very important, right? Also, experts do not have to be in one place and will be contacted individually, right? That's another point when we're doing this technique. Also, you must be able to design a questionnaire consisting of questions on how to improve the quality of their tiles and distribute it to panel members or experts. So, boys and girls, when you're doing this Delphi technique, this is how it is applicable in a workplace, or this is how it's being applied in a workplace. Your fourth bullet says you must request the panel to individually respond to the questionnaire or suggest improvements to the products and return it to the business. I hope now you're seeing all the steps for this Delphi technique. Also, now you must summarize the response from the experts in a feedback report. So this is your first report that you got from the feedback. You must summarize it. So basically, this is the first. Right. Just need to bold this. Right. Are we clear? Send a feedback report and a second set of questions. Now you must apply what? A second set of questions. I need my highlighter now, boys and girls. Right. Sorry about that. So you must send a feedback report and a second set of questions or questionnaires based on the feedback report to the panel members. Then request a panel members to provide a further input or ideas on how to improve the quality of their tiles after they have studied the results or documentation. Then you must distribute a third questionnaire. Can you see? You have to distribute 3 questionnaires based on the previous feedback from the second round. So there's a first round, second round, and the third round. Then after, you can prepare a final summary or feedback report with all methods to improve the quality of products. So we use this Delphi technique in the workplace to improve the quality of products. Now, grade 11s. In grade 12s, in grade 12, you're still going to learn about your total quality management and your quality of products. And this will come along with your Delphi technique. Now, you must then choose what? The best solution or proposal after reaching consensus. So that's your final step under your Delphi technique. So now let's summarize this. This is important for your test, guys, your informal task. Remember, if you haven't received your informal task, please feel free to email me, then I can forward it to you if you haven't received it. But you should have gotten your informal task. I don't know how the school sent it to you, but you should receive it. You should have it, basically. Right. Let's look at the meaning of force field analysis. Now, boys and girls, your force field analysis it's another method of making sure that we do produce the quality of the products. Now, if we look at the force field, and they love these techniques, your force field, your Delphi technique, and your PDCA. Now, let's look at the force field analysis. Your force field analysis, boys and girls, field is the method of listing, discussing, and analyzing various forces or advantages and against disadvantages of a proposed change. So now this is a method of listing, discussing, and analyzing. So this force field contains three things. You must list, discuss, and analyze. It is often used to plan and implementing change in a business. So most of the time, often, meaning that most of the time is for planning and implementing change in a business. We're always going to we're always going to use our force field. The analysis involves identifying the advantage and disadvantage of a decision. This tool is especially useful to overcome resistance to change. Very important. Now, grade 11s, let's look at the ways in which businesses can apply the force field analysis. Now, how can we apply the force field analysis in a workplace? Very important. Or in a business, right? Now, let's look at this one now. So first thing first, grade 11s, you need to be able to describe the current situation or problem and the desired situation. So you must be able to describe the current situation or problem. And you must give its desired solution. Hope it makes sense, boys and girls. Secondly is, you must be able to identify what is going to happen if there is no action. So in this situation or problem that you have identified, now you must be able to identify what's going to happen if I did not fulfill this problem. Third bullet now. You must list all driving pros and cons forces that will support and resist the change. So now, for example, let's say you've got a situation here. I'm just going to make an example with corona in schools. We know that majority of the schools let me say that we know that majority of the parents or guardians at home, they do not feel comfortable for their kids to go back to school. Now, if you want your learner, I mean, if as a parent or you as a learner, your parent wants you guys to no longer attend the normal school. That's a problem or that's a situation. They must have a desired situation or they must give all the good things. Okay, let's say your parents wants you guys to do the online schooling. They must do the good so that you guys can be avoided from coronavirus. So your parents, they must give the good things and the bad things for both. So before the change and after the change. Meaning that what are the good things if you were to go to a normal school and what are the bad things if you were to go to the normal school? Same applies, what will be the good things if you were to do an online schooling and what will be the bad things if you were to do the online schooling? Then they must list or they must identify. So they must list all these driving and restraining, meaning your pros and cons forces. Then you must be able to discuss the key restraining forces and determine their strength. Discuss the key driving forces and determine their strength. So you must discuss all your cons, meaning your disadvantages, and discuss all your keys driving forces, meaning all your advantages about that problem or situation. Right, grade 11. Now, you have discussed them, the good things and the bad things. Therefore, you need to allocate a score to each force using a numerical scale where 1 is weak and 5 is strong. So now for each and every point that you have laid out in disadvantages and advantages, you must score it, whether how important it is or how strong it is basically in order to influence your decision. Then after you're going to weigh up the positives and the negatives, then decide if the project is viable or not. Meaning that if your advantages, if you add all your points, the score for advantages, let's say it's 5, or let's say it's 28. Then for disadvantages, the score, it's like 21. Obviously, you're going to go for the good things about that problem. Then that's how we use a force-field analysis. So guys, you have to know. Sometimes, in business studies, we deal a lot with case studies. Sometimes you'll be given a case study, and in that case study, the examiner can ask you to scrutinize on whether or on what analysis or what technique was used. So if you don't understand your technique, you're going to have a problem with that. So it is very important for you to understand your techniques and know them from A up to Z. Because I'm telling you right now, in your informal task that I've sent, I'm going to ask these techniques. They are there. I'm not sure whether you have already started to attempt that technique or not. So it is very, 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 very important to know those. All right. Last point now. Analyze the restraining forces and the best way of advancing them. Also, boys and girls, you need to explore the driving forces and the best way of advancing them. Choose the force with the highest score. Very, very important. So that's how you're going to get your solution under your force field analysis. If the project is viable, find the ways to increase the forces to change. Also, you must identify the priorities and develop an action plan. Isn't it? All right. Let's look at the last one. Now, the last one now, boys and girls. These are the advantages of working with others to solve problems. So what are the good things for teamwork, basically, right? In order to solve problems, right? You should know this by now. I'm sure at a school level, when you guys doing a group project or a group work, you are given case studies or problems to solve. But now, when you are given those case studies, some of the things you were not able to think them alone. You had to find other people to help you to think of. Now, grade 11s, I'm giving you a minute. I want you to give me a scenario where you can solve a problem with other people. You can think of any scenario, anything. Oops, sorry. Right. Sorry. My cursor just moved. I don't know what happened. Okay. Oopsie. Sorry. All right. Okay. Yes, we are here. Right. All right. Now, grade 11s. Let's look at these advantages. Okay, I need my highlighter before that. Okay, got my highlight. So, the problem can be solved faster and easier. We know that the more, the merrier. Isn't it? The workload decreases if everyone does their share. Also, guys, I've just made an example now that sometimes at school as teachers, we do give you assignments, maybe with a group of 4 people or with a group of 6 people. The more you guys participate or the more you guys are in forming a group, is the more that is going to be easier for you guys. So, because now you guys are going to delegate duty to each other. Maybe if there are 6 questions there and it's 6 of you, maybe each person will be entitled to 1 question, to each question, basically. Then you guys can share. Also, more ideas can be generated, increasing the chances of finding the best possible solutions. The exposure to other people's thinking patterns and the way other people approach problems. Also, it enables teams members to learn from others and accept their points of view. So we do learn from others during the working with others to solve a problem. Greater results can be achieved. The team members have access to a broader base of knowledge, skills, and expertise. The problem is being viewed from a different perspective. So you can view a problem in a different perspective. There's access to a broad base of knowledge, skills, and expertise. Also, the problems are analyzed in greater detail, which lead to a better understanding of the problem. I hope it makes sense. Now, Also, this promotes the creative thinking and idea generation by thinking of as many ideas as possible to solve problems. So, working with people basically to solve problems, it also on its own promotes creative thinking. Right. Grade 11s, that's the end of it. I hope you are ready for your informal task. Today we finished a little bit early. I thought this will last us more than what we required to cover for each lesson. But because this was a revision, so that's why it took lesser time to 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 prepare for it. Now, grade 11s, please feel free to ask me any questions should you have any questions, right? From my side, that's it for today. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely evening and goodbye.